Welcome to all the new viewers who are tuning in for the first time here on Trust the Profits. This show is called Doubling Down. It's Kentucky Derby week, Vinny, so we know that there's a lot of new people that are tuning us in to see who we like in the big race so that they can then comment that we're idiots afterwards, right?
Right, exactly. That's how it always happens. But I mean, if you've been here long enough, we do occasionally strike gold. So
Well, more than occasionally, Vinny, here's our 2025 ROI results. So we're still in the green on both of us off of a
yep,
couple of hits we had. So we at least have that we're putting up some big bucks this week because it's Kentucky Derby week. And big bucks, when I say that, we try to keep these bets manageable for people. We always focus on the daily double, which is the race prior to the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Derby. You have to pick the winner in both races in order to hit your bet, but you can select multiple horses in each leg of the race in order to try and do that, similar to a parlay if you're coming over from sports betting. Uh, Vinny, Derby week, what's better than this? How long you been plugging
right,
along with PPs?
right. It's been this week's been fun. What we got the PPs? What like late Sunday, early Monday, I think it
That
was.
awesome.
Yeah,
Sunday night,
yeah, full.
Sunday.
Yep, yep, a full week with them, which is great, especially for a big day. A lot of big races, not just the Derby. So it should be a great day of racing. Even Friday has great races as well. So should be a fun weekend.
This is what we live for. Has anybody reached out for the first time in a year asking who you like in the Derby yet?
Oh, yep, already. Yep,
All
already.
right.
People, yep. And
That's
like, oh, there was something. I had somebody say like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to reach out to you this weekend," and I immediately was like, "Oh, why?" And I'm like, "Oh, the Derby," and they're like, "No, actually for this," and I was like, "Oh, well, now I just feel stupid."
Well, they only reach out to you when it's Derby week, so now
Right?
you put them on the spot. They probably were just reaching out for the Derby, and then when you said that, they
Yeah.
realized
Oh,
that we
right. Exactly. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure it won't be the last person to randomly hit me up this week.
love hearing from you all. This is our Super Bowl for those of us that are horse players. Of course, so much attention's put on the Derby. We'll start with race 11 for Saturday at Churchill Downs. It is your Old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic for 4-year-olds and up. It is a grade one, $1 million purse, class rating of 120. You are looking at the past performances displayed on RaceLens. Check them out. You can find them at Equibase. Vinny, field of 12, it's Derby week, and you're singling in here, which I thought was
Y-
interesting.
Yeah, I actually thought I was going to get a much better morning line. I don't I did not realize the one was going to be the favorite here. So that kind of is off-putting, but I'm going to
Does that
ride with
change
it
your
either.
opinion? Or are we staying with it?
No, no, I'm gonna ride with it. I'm gonna ride with it. I still do feel good, and I know what horse you're using, and I think that horse makes a ton of sense too. So I'm just gonna ride with it. I'm gonna ride with it.
So you're going with integration. This is the number one, a quality row with Shug McGahee as your trainer, and Frankie Dettori. If you've watched Race for the Crown recently, you got a little dose of the fun that is Frankie Dettori. Check it out if you
Yep.
haven't over on Netflix. Vinny, what made you decide that integration is a single worthy horse?
Well, he came back. It's just he had a little bit of a layoff at the end of the year last year. He came back and he nearly stole the Pegasus World Cup turf. He lost to a horse that's in this field, Spirit of St. Louis. Then came back off of that and Shug shortened him up. And yes, he finished second by 4. But if you go back and watch that race that Carl Spackler had, there wasn't a horse in the world that was going to beat Carl Spackler on this day. Like this might be one of the best turf mile races we've seen in the U.S. in years. I mean, this was between the time and just like he just poured it on. So he ran second. Integration ran second best that day. I don't think it was a bad effort. Like he ran into an absolute buzzsaw. But I love that Shug's stretching him back out. Shug's one of those old school trainers. He likes to race them in the shape rather than train them in the shape. So he gets his big start out of the way. He gives them a prep for this, and it's still a grade one, but shortens them back up. Now he's stretching back out to a distance that he likes. 6 starts. He's got 3 wins in his career at the distance. He should save all of the ground in the world getting the rail. And he's got some tactical speed where I don't think he's going to get boxed in like fully. I think he'll have to go like 2 or 3 wide, maybe turning for home to come off the rail. but he should have a ton left. I really like the effort, the last two efforts. So I think this horse can take a step forward. And in a race where I know a lot of people are going to spread going into the Derby, I'm going to single, and it gives me more bullets for the Derby.
Yeah, I like that. Flavian Pratt is not aboard, who was aboard 3 back in that Grade 2 victory. Pratt instead goes to the number 7. Is that a concern at all for you?
Not really, because Frankie's ridden the last two. I mean, the number 7, I think, will go off the favorite, and I think is the horse to beat. That horse will be on my pick 5 ticket, but for a double, I didn't want to take. I didn't want to take what I thought was the favorite before I saw the morning line in Running B as the favorite, and then use both favorites in the Derby. Even though if you're gonna do that with like chalk, Derby Day is kind of the day to do it because it's not really going to be chalk. You're going to get 4-1, and you're probably going to get 3-1 on Running B probably, and your Derby favorite's going to go off at probably 3-1. So really not the worst. Um, if you have the extra bankroll, maybe add Running B in. I do think Running B is a very good horse, but no, it doesn't concern me. I do wish it was somebody else. Like I wish it was like Saez instead of Frankie. If I'm being honest, I
Hmm.
am not the biggest. At 2025, Frankie is not the like 2015, 2016 Frankie that they speak highly of in racing for the crown.
Yes.
2025 Frankie is definitely not as strong of a rider as he was, but he still has won a few grade ones here. He's been close, obviously, a couple times with integration. So I'm hoping third time's the charm here with integration.
Chad Brown won this race last year with program trading. If you joined our live stream, which we will have this week on Kentucky Derby Day, program trading ended up being I didn't hit the Derby, but the race before I gave out program trading at I think 4.5 to 1, 4 to 1. Told people they had to play him. It was third. I think he was like third favorite in that race. Came back and met you up at Belmont Stakes weekend and hit on the exact same angle that I hit with program trading on that particular day. Guess what, Vinny? Running
Yep.
B finds that angle that I hate to just say I don't blind bet angles except for one, and this will show you why with a positive ROI, a success score of 7. This is Chad with 4-year-olds older on the turf when their last race was their career best and it was a graded stake. So basically, and you would think, well, at some point the horse has to take a step back, right? Look at Running B. I mean, look at the consistency of these speed figures. It's
Very.
really this slow progression up that just is always competitive. 109, 109, 109, 107, 109, 109, and boom, there's that career best last time out, 113 for this horse who's a single English channel with Calumet Farm, 6-year-old. 5 to 1. I didn't think he was going to be the favorite, so you scared me a little off there a little bit because
Yeah.
I thought you could go a lot of different. I think you can go different angles in this race, but I see that angle and I'm like, nope, absolutely not letting that pass by. It's one that has proven very well. We can click on it quickly right here on RaceLens and it'll show you the results. 30% win percentage over the last year in 27 races. If you spread it out, it just continues to hit at that 25 to 30%
Yep.
range. Here's out of 113 starts, 26% win, ROI of 28%, a very high success score. This is the one angle that I absolutely just love, and Running B hits it, so I'm not going to let Running B go by. I love that Pratt's aboard. The other two Chads are interesting. I thought, the 4 redistricting I gave some attention to. Ultimately, seeing the horse be 0 for 3 at the distance kind of decided to shy me away from this one. The horse is getting off Lasix. And then the other horse, Spirit of St. Louis, who you had mentioned, I am going to use. I'm using a little bit of that foundational handicapping. When you're going into a grade 1, you want to look at horses that have had success in a grade 1, and not actually many of them do in here. Uh, Spirit of St. Louis is one of them who won 2 back in that Pegasus, beating integration, as you had just mentioned, by a neck. This horse will be coming from off the pace. But Manny Franco's aboard, and look where Manny Franco had this horse positioned through the stretch where Manny rode the horse for a while back in 23, moving into 24.
Yep.
Look at the 2s, the 3s, a length, 2 lengths. This horse is going to be more closer to the front end, and he's had a lot of success with that. with Manny Franco. So I'm going to use those two, 7 and the 10. Anything you want to add or detract from those two?
Not really. I mean, that was kind of my angle here. It was like if I add one of the Chads, I feel like I had to add another one. If
Yeah,
I have to add one, it's running B. I really, as good as Manny has been on Spirit of St. Louis, it was against much weaker company, and I
absolutely.
think
Yeah.
that's why the change happened was for stepping up in class. He put a better jockey in Tyler on him, and Tyler's hurt, so that's why Tyler's not riding here. So it's not bad that he's going back to Manny. It just like that kind of threw me off a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh, but at the end of the day, like yeah, I really would honestly be shocked if it's not running B or integration that wins here. I think they are just they're the two that you can kind of get out of this leg with. I'm not as if I had a good single in the Derby, I think I would use both. I would use both, but outside of that, I don't like redistricting at all. The horse just doesn't do it for me. I think the horse would have to improve a lot to win. I get that he gets Irad, but the horse's best race was at Del Mar, and I feel like the Del Mar turf doesn't usually translate well to Churchill, so I'm not really concerned. The Sherry DeVoe horse with Jose Talking Candy I had last out. I like that horse a lot. I just don't know if this is the right class. I am very wary about the fairgrounds horses as well because that turf course is very weird.
Mm.
But yeah, I wasn't like it's a deep field, but like I feel like when you really look at it, I feel like there's two horses that really stand out in my opinion, and they're the 1 and the 7. So I'm gonna take a swing and just single one of them here.
Yeah, and speaking of that fairgrounds turf, you had I'd Rather Be Blessed to on here on RaceLens is the 5. You could see him kind of in the front, that early speed. I was wondering if he could go wire to wire. He won at 86 to 1 over that fairgrounds turf, then went to Keeneland and finished 10th. So I decided
Yeah,
to
and that's
move
yeah,
away.
that's kind of what I mean. It's like the horses that run good at fairgrounds. It's kind of like Kentucky Downs. Like some horses really like fairgrounds, some horses don't, and usually the horses that really like fairgrounds don't fare well in Kentucky. And it kind of just one of those things. So I won't be surprised if I lose in this first leg to running B, but if I lose, I'm hoping it's at least like a respectable run from Frankie and integration.
There you have it. Let's get to the big one, the biggest race of the year. It is the 2025 151st Kentucky Derby presented by Woodford Reserve. 3-year-olds going a mile and a quarter. Vinny, we've been following and tracking these horses for months now. I can't believe it's already May. That's probably the most surprising thing out of this
Right.
field is that we're already here. I'll be seeing you up in Saratoga soon, which is a nice
Yes,
dot.
you will.
Um, Field of 20, obviously Beza is your 21st also entered. We'll see if anybody scratches to get that horse into the gate. Vinny, I didn't realize until we just talked before starting the show that we were on the same horse. RaceLens as a win probability has journalism, the number 8 as your 15% chance at winning. I think we can both agree that if there's a Triple Crown winner and if journalism comes over and is as good as he displayed in California and puts this field away, in that you can think of the greats over the last 10 years that have done it and gone on to win the Triple Crown. He's probably the one that I could say would be the one. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we think he's here to have an easy trip. The Derby's never easy, and doesn't mean that he can't be beat, especially with the question mark of, how many horses did he face in California? What was the quality of horses he's racing against in California? As we do every Derby season, you can kind of poke holes in all the horses to try to find your way around it. Sovereignty has been my horse basically since the end of last year. Hasn't really done much other than maybe having some light on the speed figures to sway me otherwise. The pace may be a consideration where he might run into some traffic, and that's a hard task to get home. But he has a victory over the Churchill Downs Dirt. He's on top for me. I'm not moving off of that pick. How about yourself?
I'm on the same boat. I've been on him since his debut. He debuted last Travers Day. I loved him. He went off 11 to 1. He finished fourth. And after that race, I was like, the day this horse runs 2 turns, I'm going to cash. I cash big in that street sense on him, and I've been on him since. He's well bred. He's a very he's just like one of the he's just one of those horses that he does the right thing every time. His issue, like you said, he comes from the back, and in the Derby it is very tough to like really press your opinion on a horse that needs to pass 15, 16 other horses. Just doesn't feel good. With that said, I think he does get the pace. Even his last race in the Florida Derby, I thought he ran great considering he broke from the outside post 10. That post is very tough at Gulfstream, so I don't think he lost anything in the feet. He didn't have his normal rider that day. He had Manny on. He gets Junior back today. I I like him. I hope he gets the pace, and I hope as long as he breaks well. I would love to see him break well and then sit like 14th,
I don't
but
even
like
think he.
tucked
I
in.
don't even think he has to be that far. But I know everyone assumes he's going to be that far back, but he's
I don't
tactical
think.
enough.
Oh yeah, I don't think he needs to be that far back. I just think like just position wise. I mean I don't want him 20 lengths back, but I mean I think they're going to go quick up front, and I think there's a good contingent of horses that want to sit closer. So like if he's only like 10 back at the half or something, like 10 or 11 lengths back at the half, I think he's in business. Like I really do. If he's closer than that, like great. If he puts himself in the race, I do always like seeing closers kind of put themselves in the race without the jockey asking them to. But realistically, he seems like one that's going to have to pass at least 10 horses to win this one. So I just hope he can get there, and I just hope he can get there in time. Uh, I mean this race was solid here. This is
Fountain
Fountain
of
of
Youth.
Youth, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Just an
Yep.
unbelievable finish.
Yep. He kind of just like he gets that gear and he just kind of grinds everybody down. And that's what he does. He closes, he kind of runs that he has that nice closing kick and it's a sustained run. That's kind of that's part of the reason I didn't single him and I singled in the first leg. If he gets rolling, great. But if he gets rolling even a second late, it's going to be the difference between him winning and finishing fourth. It's just how it goes. And even here, like he gets rolling, but the Tappan Street gets going first. And like Tappan Street unfortunately got hurt and won't be in the Derby. But like if he's not going to win the Derby and he gets clear, I think it's going to be in a situation like this where another horse with a similar running style just gets clear before he does. And like yes, he likes to like he grinds away, but he doesn't really have that burst. So he's like he really has to be within a length or two of the lead like when they turn for home and already like in full swing. I think or like this situation is going to happen to him, which is unfortunate, but as much as he's my top pick, that's why I did not single in this spot.
Yeah, same. But I would also say if that last race was any longer, he's catching Tappan Street.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know.
For sure. But that's my worry. Like he's not one of those horses that like he hits the top of the stretch and he just has this giant burst of speed like we've seen from some of these other horses where they'll go from being a length back to 4 lengths up in a blink of an eye. He kind of grinds you down, and that doesn't always bode well in the Derby.
Sean Patrick Nolan here on the channel said that Junior would not want to be on any other horse. He said that this is the one and he would not trade his position with anybody else. He also said that Manny Franco mentioned that obviously he filled in for Junior in that race. Said he didn't even like the Gulfstream surface. So that though he was running over a surface that if he takes to the Churchill Downs and the Derby like he did in the Street Sense, that could be a big difference because there's horses that come into this track and might not like it as much as they do. So you spread. You went. Where do you want to go? Because you got everyone else on your ticket.
Yeah, I
Where
can
do you want
start.
to go?
I can start from. We can start from the inside and we'll move out.
Okay.
It's fine with me. I'm using Final Gambit.
Me too.
I think he's gonna be he's one of the wise guy horses. He's 30 to 1 in the morning line. I think we're gonna get more about 15 to 20. Realistically, I think he is gonna take money. He's well bred. He's trained by Brad Cox, who's become a household name within horse racing as a top trainer. He's got a big kick. Like that's kind of what you can say about him. He has that final. He's got that big kick turning for home that can win or lose races. He's another one who's going to come from the back. His issue, like he's 30-1 because he's never run on dirt. There have been Derby winners that have never run on dirt. Um, Animal Kingdom comes to mind, where Animal Kingdom ran and he was running on synthetic, and then he won this same Jeff Ruby race. He came into the Derby, he turned for home, and he had that nice burst of speed, and he kicked away from everybody. We saw two Phils a couple years ago. He had run on dirt before, but his big effort did come on synthetic in the Jeff Ruby, and he ran a very game second. He lost to Mage in the last 100 yards. But so we've seen horses win from this race. Rich Strike won the Derby. He ran third in the Jeff Ruby. Uh, so it's not like this race hasn't produced winners before. He's gonna be a pretty big price. He's definitely gonna be double digits. So I thought he was worth an ad.
Yeah, he's on my ticket as well. Did Chicken Dinner podcast last night with Staggy. He loves this horse too. What I took from that last race is this horse doesn't mind being bumped around or taking kickback. He was wide on multiple races, 6 and 7 wide. I'm talking in some instances. So when you're in a Derby, those are the things that you want a horse to have been battle tested in. The fact that he can take kickback. You're going to be behind horses. I don't think the track will be wet, although there's some precipitation over the next 2 days. Saturday looks nice.
Yep.
But that was what I wrote down as a reason that I want him on my ticket as well. And if he does take to the dirt better than he does, as people are saying, as he's working out, I'll take a shot there too. So I will use the 3 as well. We agree on that one. You used Rodriguez. I did not.
Yeah, I'm using Rodriguez because I think he's the better of the two Bafferts. If I'm wrong on it, I'm wrong on it. He worries me that I think of the two Bafferts, I think he is the one that is bred for the 10 furlongs. And I just think he's that last race. Yes, it was on a speed favoring track, but was very good. His 2 races prior to that, they didn't he wants to go to the lead. Is the end of the story really. If he gets to the lead and he outlasts the other speed horses, I think there's a chance he holds on. If he doesn't, it's a bad pick. I think it's the only way this horse wins is if at the half mile or 3/4 he has a length lead and he can just sustain that run. Otherwise, he's done. But I think I'd feel silly. I think he's going to be the higher of the two Bafferts in price. I'd feel dumb if Baffert beat me here with a horse that I think has the capability of actually winning.
I'm okay tossing them. I think those are both front bias tracks that he got an advantage of. He was on the rail, saving ground the whole way around. And I think journalism's better. So if I'm going to use journalism, I don't mind just putting a Baffert on because he's Baffert. So that was my reasoning in toss. And when you're making these tickets, you gotta come up with reasonings to toss
exactly.
them.
He would have if I added the 7 in the last leg. He was first cut.
7 is who I add. You do not. Luxor Cafe. This is a horse that, as people that follow me on the channel the last 2 years, I've been touting the Japan, getting better and going to win one of these. It doesn't come in with as much fanfare as Forever Young did last year, but I watched that last race in Japan, and the way he closed in that stretch visually to me was just very, very impressive that I want him on my ticket. They also, I don't remember who mentioned it in our Discord. It was one of our studious partners, but they talked about how he didn't go over to the Middle East either. He's coming directly from Japan, which is not the usual route that you get from these Japan horses. And I think that's a great point because that travel can be pretty brutal. And this might be the advantage that they need for that little extra bit, right? Forever Young almost got there. The horse is sired by American Pharaoh. He comes in off of 4 in a row. And if there is any moisture in the dirt, 3 for 4 over the wet surface. So I will use Luxor Cafe. Vinny, we then get to the favorite journalism. I think we both agree, hard to leave off.
Yeah, I mean, for this double, if I get through the first leg of the double, I don't want to lose just because I undervalue journalism. Like you said, if there is going to be a Triple Crown winner this year, he seems to be the likely candidate. He's done nothing wrong. I've liked him since last year. I'm in the fantasy league I am in. He was the horse I was hoping to be able to draft at the sixth pick in the draft after his maiden win, and then they entered him in the Los Al Futurity, and he beat multiple Bafferts that were highly regarded at the time. And I immediately texted my partner saying, "Well, there goes that pick," because I knew he was going much higher than six, which he did. He went. He ended up going three. So what do you do? But yeah, he's done nothing. He's done nothing wrong. My only criticism is that like you said, I don't know what he's really beat.
Mm.
I know he beat Rodriguez, who I am using as well, but I don't think Rodriguez was really ridden to his best of his ability that race. Um, because like you look at it, he ran down like Low Sal, he ran down Getaway Car and Gaming. Gaming's in the Pat Day Mile. Getaway Car wasn't going to make the distance. Is not running. Barnes, another one, highly regarded Baffert, had the easy lead. Journalism just blew by him like he was standing still in that stretch. And then Barnes came back to run terrible after that. And then even in the Santa Anita Derby, he wins. He wins impressively over Beza, who I hope draws in, because I think this is another horse who ran very well. But the pace horse was Citizen Bull, who just threw in the anchor. So it's like he ran down three Bafferts in three races that all don't seem to want to go far. So that was my work. That's really my main concern. But like you said, if he runs, if he's as good as advertised, he wins easy.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I had him in the San Felipe. I was very high on him, and I think I had him in the Los Del Futurity as well. I didn't bet the Santa Anita Derby because of what it was, and he also faced a lot of trouble in that race too, which I think sets him up nice. So you saw him at
Yep.
least take a little bit of trouble in that race. I'm going to use Burnham Square. I know you're not. I'm high on this horse. I love the fact I really have the opinion that the Florida region, if you want to break this down by regions and go Oaklawn Fairgrounds, New York, Florida, California, Kentucky, to me, Florida was the best. I think that was proven by Burnham Square going in and winning the Bluegrass. He won the Holy Bull off the pace on tracks that had a front bias. We talk about all the horses that are winning on the front end with front end biases. Well, he's the one that ran against what it was. His dam was a grade 2 winner at Churchill Downs. Also had a second and a third at Churchill Downs. So I'm reaching a little bit there. He actually has a third place run over the Churchill Downs surface as well. I thought that last speed figure in the Bluegrass was nice. And I know that he's high on the Trust the Profit side, not the Discord side. I got the two chats I get to deal
Yeah.
with and mend you guys off. I'll use Burnham Square. Brian Hernandez, your Kentucky Derby winner last year. He's sired by Liam's Map, who's 4 for 13 at this classic distance. So I'll add him on my ticket. But by the time we go through everyone on our tickets, we're going to hit every single horse. So
Yeah, I almost added Burnham Square. He was last. My original text to you like had him, and I took him out. He was literally the last cut on my ticket.
my last ad, I guess you could say was at least when we texted, it was Final Gambit. But my last ad, really decision wise, was East Avenue. I have a little bit of a thinking feeling here. Remember we talked about fierceness and which fierceness were you going to get, and you could kind of go through and look through his past performances, and I will say make excuses for the races that he struggled in, right? And it kind of made sense when he did have the talent, and I'm doing a little bit of that. When I say make excuses, there were reasons that we could get to without like throwing something crazy to try and just make it stick.
Yep.
I've done that a little bit with East Avenue, right? He came out as a 2-year-old and ran 2 really monster races, looked great, was the favorite going into the Breeders' Cup, but that race was over 2 seconds out of the gate when he stumbled so badly and was so far behind them. And that at that point, it just became a let's keep the horse safe, right? Then he comes back. Well, the Risen Star was off the layoff in a race at Fairgrounds, that grade 2 against Magnitude, who nobody was beating Magnitude that day. You talked about nobody beating Carl Spackler in the last race. Then he comes back in the Toyota Bluegrass, goes 22-46, is on the front end in the battle and holds on for second. I'm wondering if East Avenue, everyone kind of has this inkling that he is a need the lead type, possibly. And if he is, then I'm screwed. But if he's not, and he can put up those figures, and he can stay on that front end, and he can carry that to the distance. At 20 to 1, I kind of just want to include him on my ticket as I'm not done with East Avenue yet, and that's where my reasoning for keeping him on the ticket.
Yeah, and it's kind of my same. You took East Avenue, I took Rodriguez. I
Yeah,
feel like it's like the same. It's the same logic. If he gets out, if he gets out there and he can do his thing like he did in the Bluegrass, he's got a really good shot. If he doesn't and he runs back to his risen star, it's not a great pick. It's just like Rodriguez, where depending on how he breaks and how he where he's positioned, that's it.
you use publisher. I'm all set with the maiden trifecta, as I call it, with Irad,
Y-
Steve, and the horse.
Yeah, I really the only reason I used him is I think he's going to be a big price. So that was kind of, I'm looking for if I get through that first leg, I don't want to lose to that like rich strike type horse that beats me. And he kind of fits the bill, I think, for that. Like he runs like 2 races back in the Rebel. He ran a really big race. In that race, if you remember the Rebel, Matticat Road looked gone, and the only horse that was really close enough to catch him caught him in Coal Battle. But he fights. He ends up closing, and he ends up getting fourth, and he loses out to Sandman, who is a fraction of the price. Who's another closer, and then he loses the Sandman the next time out. But he just looks like a horse that he's slowly improving. And like if there is a pace, like we're talking about like you have Citizen Bull, East Ave, and Rodriguez. If they go fast for some reason, I don't see why he isn't going to be coming from the back of the pack. Like especially if the pace like absolutely collapses. And that was kind of where I structured this ticket was kind of off the assumption that I think this pace is going to come back to come back to the field, and not everybody's going to get the clean trip. So I'm going to take as many of these horses that are going to run into this pace and hope that one of them gets a clean trip. And he's one of them that he might not win, but like, would it shock anybody if he rounded out the try or the super? He's been closing great. He just needs the trip, and that's half the Derby is getting the right trip. So I thought at what 30 to 1, and I think he's going to be every bit of it. He was worth an ad.
Maiden hasn't won since 1933, and I
Oh
just said
yeah, it's
that's
a
enough
long. Oh
for
yeah,
me.
it's a long time. First time for everything, right?
All right, I swear we're almost done adding more horses. Remember that we each have our own tickets. That's why we're covering so many of them.
Yep.
Vinny, we both use Sovereignty, so we'll get that one out of the way. But you also use Sandman.
Yeah. It's same reason I just added publisher, and same reason I like sovereignty. Horse comes from the back and he fires every time. He needs the right trip,
Hard
and
worker.
that's right. And that's kind of what worries me is that like with picking closers, if you're gonna use one closer, I feel like you really have to use more than one because one might not get the right trip, or like I mean you can go back to the Rich Strike Derby, like one horse cuts the rail, the other closer doesn't. The closer that cuts the rail wins. And that's like, yes, he's a little quirky. He's a tappet horse, and like tappet horses historically don't do fantastic in the Derby. But if he gets clear and he just starts rolling, like like
Here's the reasoning. Here's the reasoning I've used him. I am not using him. He's the number 4 here. This is going back to October. Okay,
mhm.
watch him come out of the gate. See how he has like a hitch.
Oh yeah, he's a tappet. He's a head case.
So
They all are.
he does that in October.
Yep.
He did that in the race in September before in Churchill. Then we all
Yep.
remember at Southwest where he completely broke.
Mhm.
That's why everyone was high on him and made him a favorite in the Rebel was because of how much of a run he had behind
Right.
after the Southwest.
Right.
I just use that as some reasoning, as maybe
Yeah.
you call it the head case part. That's a good word for it.
Yeah. He's
6 to 1, he's just not for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like that's why that again, like he was one of those horses that if I didn't single in the first leg, I probably cut in this leg. But I singled in the first leg, and like nothing would feel worse than having sovereignty get run down by Sandman or losing a head bob to a horse that has basically the exact same running style. That was why I went with it.
Yeah, or Simon gets to jump first.
Right.
You know. All right, last up for you is Baeza. He also entered.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the hype on this horse is legit. This horse looks very, very good. Um, he came in second. He came in second in his second race ever to Rodriguez, where Rodriguez walked on the lead. He comes back, he wires a field, and then he comes back and like he ran a very good race. He's the reason that Citizen Bull finishes fourth in the Santa Anita Derby. Westwood took it to Citizen Bull early, but Baeza really he finished it. Like he put him away, and then he unfortunately he gets caught by journalism, but he ran a monster race, and he is he's bred for it. Mage, he's out of the same dam as Mage, and who's the other? Oh, and Dornock.
Puka,
Dornock.
baby.
Yep, like
Puka, whose
she
last
just
victory was at Suffolk Downs, a mile down the road from me. And the other
yeah.
funny thing about that, Vinny, is that I asked ChatGPT, what are the odds that a dam could have 3 consecutive years of a Kentucky Derby starter? What do you think ChatGPT did the math for me? What do you think
Oh,
the impact?
I'm sure you're better. You have a better chance of like getting struck by lightning.
It basically its head did explode and said 1 in a million is where we would start.
Yeah, but like this horse. I mean, the issue though is that if this horse doesn't draw in, he's going to be severely overbet in the Preakness. Whereas if he draws in here, I think we get around 10-1.
And he's in
But
the post 20, so that's
right,
not
he's
going to
in
be
post.
great
He's
for
going to
him.
be in the outside post if he draws in, which is bad. But he showed the ability to rate last time, which is, I mean, I think that's what you need. And he would be outside. He'd be able to wait for other horses to make their move before he moved. I really, if he draws in, I think he's got a big chance. I just don't. Again, he's got to draw in first, and I think if you're gonna play him in one of these Triple Crown races, I feel like this is it if he draws in, because if the runs in the Preakness, if you're fine with taking 3-1 on him, great, good for you. But that's what you're going to get in the Preakness. I really don't want a part of a horse that's not a stakes winner at 3-1 in a grade one. So like I am probably out on him in the Preakness. And if he doesn't win the Preakness, like he's probably not coming for the Belmont. So it's like this kind of seems like this is the wedding bet if that's how you look at it. I think
Yep.
is the Derby.
It also depends who is that scratch to get him in. That's the other part of it, because that could have some help in that decision making on how much to use.
For sure. For sure.
So there you have it. Although we talked just about every single horse, we do agree on the 3, 8, and the 18. And we're not both going to get through the first leg, but as you said, you would either take the 1 or the 7. So hopefully one of us gets through, and can we root each other on for Kentucky Derby Day. Vinny, always a pleasure. This is our most looked forward to episode of the maybe Whitney and Travers for us.
Yeah, Whitney and Travers. I mean, hometown races are always fun too. But yeah, I mean the Derby's a big race, and yeah, there's a lot of content out there this week. So hopefully you get something out of this, even if you don't play these doubles tickets. But if you do, hopefully we cash for you and you make a little bit of money, because I think these. I mean, I feel like they're going to pay at least 40-1 if they hit.
Yeah, especially some of those longer price ones. As we always say, just listen to us and then play your own opinions. We're just here to give
Yep.
you information and maybe some ideas of how to play it if you're not familiar. Come by Saturday. We'll have a live stream. Vinny, more than welcome. We'll be welcoming questions in the chat, telling you who to bet, who we're betting, and it's always a ton of fun. Until next time, please like and subscribe. Good luck, everybody, on Saturday. Hope to see you. Kentucky Derby, baby. Let's go.